Chances are, if you're watching this, you still care a lot about what other people think of you. By the end of this video, I want to make sure that you know how to improve that rapidly. Most people who say they don't care about to like a 5 or 6 or maybe even a 7 out of 10 level around here. The thing is, most people never even go below a 5 in their whole entire life. If I had to draw a bell curve, this is what I would imagine it to look like. You know, the people who care like a 4 or 5 out of 10 is incredibly rare. Most people live their lives in this 7+ zone. And you know, biologically speaking, it makes a lot of sense that if we didn't care about what other people thought, we would get, you know, just fucking thrown away and we would die alone. We're tribal animals. But my argument in this video is going to be that even if you're at like a, you know, 7 or something average, or maybe even below average level, you would still greatly benefit about caring a bit less and maybe moving towards this 4 or 5 out of 10 zone. Of course, my goal isn't to get you to like a 1, 2 or 3, because in that case, you'd be running around naked in public. I mean, be honest with me, if you truly didn't care about what other people thought of you, you'd be screaming and shouting in public, you'd be doing whatever you want, you'd be disobeying the law. Even if you wouldn't go that far, you would be just so super rambunctious and no one would like you, which isn't a good feeling. That's not what we're aiming for, but I think every single person could, you know, give a bit less of a fuck and be more successful. And the problem with this is, and the reason I've been delaying making this video for so long, is because I'm the exact same way. I like to say that I don't give a fuck. Look at me, like I'm making YouTube videos. A lot of people would find this like stressful. My previous me would have found it stressful, but I'm still somewhere here. That's God's honest truth. One quote that I come back to quite a lot is that Confucius said that each man has 2 lives and the second one begins when he realizes that he only has 1. This instance kind of occurred for me in 2022 when I kind of realized that I was a degenerate video gamer. I did nothing pretty much, didn't even study that hard, and I finally got a crush on a girl who I really, really adored, and I realized that I was just not good enough. And that was a bad feeling then, but it liberated me in a sense to actually show me that I can better myself and I can, you know, just become a better fucking person, someone who's more capable. And, you know, it's not even just better for her, but better for me, because I wasn't happy with who I was. And I realized that that requires stepping on toes here and there. That requires, you know, pissing people off. I don't want to sound like I'm being arrogant, but if you start improving yourself, if you start going above, you know, the general crowd around you, it's very natural that they're going to get envious. And I think I had a psychological subconscious block in myself that I didn't want to go to the gym, I didn't want to study super hard, I didn't want to flex on people, because then I understood that they would be envious of me. Every time I proved someone wrong in a debate, I got the feedback that that person was a bit more kind of aggressive towards me in the future. And that wired me subconsciously to stop searching for achievement because I was so scared of other people's judgment. This was the biggest step for me. Here in 2022, I actually made this point for myself that I was going to go to the fucking gym. I wasn't going to care about what other people think in that regard. And you know, this is really funny because this is appearing better than other people, what I was scared of, when most people are afraid of, you know, looking cringe or something like that. But anyway, recently, just now, honestly, it fucking pains me to admit this, but I came to this conclusion a few days ago. I realized that I'm still a coward. I realized that I still give too much of a fuck, and I let my life be controlled by other people. I do have to give myself some credit, because back in the day when I was a kid, just standing in the row to the cashier in Aldi, I felt like I was burning. And anyone with social anxiety knows this, that you literally feel so much discomfort when you even have the chance of people having their eyes on you. It's an insane feeling. It's definitely not a good place to be. And as I've said, I've made a bunch of progress. Maybe I'm somewhere around here now. But I still realized, you know, just as you're becoming more mindful, as you meditate more and just becoming more conscious of your own thoughts, you still have a lot of thoughts which you're not acting on because of your perception and how much you're afraid of that. One of the best examples for this is, shocker, it was with cold approaching. It was with attracting kind of girls that I thought were attractive. And I had this conversation with myself for fucking years, ever since like the past 3-4 years even. I told myself that I was going to do it. I told myself that I was going to do it, but I haven't. Literally to this day, I haven't fucking done it once. And that's because I really have this kind of, I don't even know what it is. It's like, it's this voice in your head that's constantly running rampant and finds any single reason to disqualify either the prospect or yourself. What I mean by this is, as I was looking at the attractive girl, I constantly had thoughts like, oh no, she has a tattoo. That must mean she's not my type. That, you know, instant disqualification. And even though, yeah, like that's a good kind of thought to have, because, you know, I don't genuinely like people with tattoos that much, especially girls. It isn't like an instant fucking disqualification, right? She could have ended up being my wife, literally. Or if I couldn't find anything to disqualify for her, I'd literally go for literally everything I could find. You know, her hair isn't exactly as I like it. The dumbest fucking things. I would start disqualifying myself. I'd be like, I'm not in a place where I want to be in life. I'm not making the money I want in life. And when I was making the money, I'd be like, oh, I'm not big enough, right? I'm not jacked enough. All of these fucking stupid thoughts. When your mind is running rampant, like 10, 100 times at the pace which it usually runs, you're going to find some sort of excuse, right? And especially for people like me who, again, fucking arrogant guy, look at this guy, look at me constantly bigging myself up. But if you're somewhat intelligent and if your mind is very, very active, you're like an overthinker and you're the kind of person who's a lot like me, you're going to realize that just go and talk to her might work, but it's just so hard for us. It's so hard when your mind is constantly telling you reasons not to go up and talk to her. So what I started doing, and I'm still in the process of this, by the way, is starting slow and getting rejected step by step. So we could kind of analyze this and be like, why am I afraid of getting rejected? And be like, okay, what's the worst thing that can happen? But even then, you are going to find the worst thing. And realistically, that thing can happen. So that's just going to be proven right by your brain. Oh, I could get laughed at. Oh, that person could call the fucking police on me. Even though it's incredibly unlikely, my brain is going to make it a plausible thing. So I'm not going to do it. So the next best thing is to just not be afraid of that thing happening. What if she laughs at me? What if she brutally rejects me? What if the onlookers, the other people, the passers-by also look and laugh at me? But the thing is, I'm really afraid of that because I'm here. So the thing we can do is we can move me from here to here, because if we're looking at it realistically, if someone starts in the gym and they can bench 20 kg, you're not going to be telling them to bench 100 kg. It's kind of the same thing. If I'm at this skill level here and you're telling me to do the activity that is, at this skill level, that's doable at this skill level, it's not going to work. So what I ended up doing is I constantly put myself out of my comfort zone. And the hardest thing with this is being consistent. I'm going to be 100% honest with you. I'm not fucking consistent with this. I told myself that I would be. I wasn't. It's not something I'm proud of, but it's the case. However, I am still putting in reps, and I am proud of myself for that. So what I'm doing is I embarked on this thing called 100 Days of Rejection. Every single day, you do something that you wouldn't. It doesn't have to be incredibly hard. It doesn't have to be, the super big theatrical act. But just make sure that usually, through your day-to-day life, you wouldn't be comfortable doing that certain thing and do it. The first day, I asked for water. I literally wouldn't even have done this, but this was like at a marketplace, and I saw that this person clearly didn't have water. Like this little market stand, they clearly didn't have water, and I walked up to them and asked for water. It's kind of a small thing, but it was kind of hard for me because it was just not a thing that I would usually do. The second day, I asked for free shit. I asked for a burger. I walked away. They made it for me, and I asked the cashier girl, "Hey, can I get it for free?" It's a very harmless question, right? There's nothing that could realistically go wrong. It was a bit awkward. I'm not going to lie. She looked at me like I was stupid. But then we ended up laughing about it and being like, oh, it was worth a chance. Sometimes they give it to me, etc., etc. And it worked. Now I'm a bit less afraid of asking these stupid questions in the future. The hard part is being consistent and doing this. And I'm not going to lie, I missed the next fucking few days, but now I'm doing it again and I'm putting the fucking effort in. And it's really hard, but I'm actually getting better at this. And the reason I'm getting better at it is not because I'm looking for some cute protocol. It's not because I'm doing psychotherapy. Although those things have their place in life, usually, especially once you're like capped at this very average level, the biggest thing which will propel you forward is action. I could read about the best workout plan, or I could start lifting 20 kg weight, and the next time I go to the gym, I can lift 21 kg. In the same way, if I continue asking for water, if I continue asking for something for free, if I continue doing dumb shit, things that I wouldn't do, and I would go for the rejection and end up getting rejected anyway, I'm going to go up to the girl and I'm going to be like, well, what's the worst thing that can happen? Is she going to reject me? Well, I've been there, done that. And this might seem cringe for some people, and we're very well aware of that. And it's, this is maybe even some form of rejection, me putting this video out there, because this is something that I'm not entirely comfortable with. But honestly, people like me, people who know what it's like to have social anxiety and be really fucking afraid your whole entire childhood and have these kind of beliefs really deeply programmed into you, these things are really, really hard to do. And I respect anyone who even embarks on this journey with me. So I could sit here and I could talk about how, the chances of failure are incredibly low. And by the way, that's exactly what I did when I filmed this video a week or two ago, but I didn't think it fucking did the job. And that's why I didn't post it. What will do the job is trying to get you to act like me. And even though you're probably not going to be 100% consistent with it, you're going to miss a day or two, just like I did. Please let it be known that that's okay. That's to be expected, because now you're missing every day. you're never getting rejected, and that's fine. But if you want to make a change, you must lead with action. A good way to make sure you're consistent is to write it out on a piece of paper which is in like a common place inside of your home. So if you see it every day when you wake up or before you go to sleep and you're like, fuck, I need to get rejected, okay, and you start planning your rejection, you're not going to skip that many days. And if it's, you know, tucked away in some digital kind of folder, or worst case, you even didn't write it down anywhere, best believe you're going to forget after a day or two. You're going to have the mindset of, oh, I missed today and now it doesn't even matter anymore, which is just couldn't be further from the truth. Don't let this part of your mind fool you, like the part what I was talking about where she had like a tattoo and it disqualified me instantly. Or if she didn't have a tattoo, I started disqualifying myself. Just understand when this voice pops up. And if you want to get better at noticing this voice, then read The War of Art by Steven Pressfield. It's one of the best books I've ever read. I've read it 5 times so far, actually. He talks about this voice that always comes up when you're talking about this kind of thing that helps you combat your goals. You know, when you're about to move towards your goals and it tries to convince you to do something bad for you, that's called resistance. It's trying to preserve your current sense of identity of someone who is maybe not that good, but they're comfortable. It tries to preserve this identity because change is painful. But let it be known, this is also just reading. Although I'm promoting this book because I think it's a very valuable concept. The best thing you can do for yourself is to just fucking do it. So I'm going to leave this video here, and please, if you're actually struggling from this, and even if you're not struggling from this, because I'm not like struggling, but I know there's a lot of room for improvement, I'm pretty sure 99% of you would actually improve if you started doing this. One way or another, if you can get yourself into this zone rather than, you know, this zone where the average is, you're just going to be so much fucking freer in life. If you think about it, this applies to every area of life. You know, not asking for the raise from your boss, not asking to go out, not having the deep conversation with your parents because you're afraid of judgment. Literally every area of life is controlled by this shit. This is the deepest thing that was programmed into you over millennia of evolution, and here's your chance to deprogram it. What will you do?